The alarm rings. You reach for your phone. Before your feet even touch the floor, your mind has already started racing. Deadlines, bills, responsibilities, unfinished conversations, and silent comparisons with other people's lives. Nothing bad has happened yet, but the feeling is already there. Heavy, dull, restless, almost as if your brain has been programmed to scan for stress before it ever searches for joy. Now imagine something radical. What if happiness wasn't something you had to wait for, but something you could train for? What if your brain, the same organ that replays worries on loop, could be rewired to notice good moments more easily, recover from setbacks faster, and feel content more often? Not because life became perfect, but because your mental patterns changed. Science says this isn't wishful thinking. It's neuroplasticity, the brain's lifelong ability to reorganize itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. In simple terms, the thoughts you practice become the thoughts you default to. Just like muscles strengthen with use, emotional pathways strengthen with repetition, which means happiness isn't merely an emotion, it's a skill. Most people grow up believing happiness is reactive. I'll be happy when the income rises, when the business succeeds, when the relationship improves, when the stress disappears. But this mindset quietly postpones joy indefinitely, because every time one problem ends, another begins. If happiness depends on perfect circumstances, it will always stay out of reach. Training your brain flips this equation. Instead of waiting for life to improve before you feel better, you improve your mental conditioning so you can feel better while life unfolds. Messy, imperfect, unpredictable. The first shift begins with attention. Your brain has a built-in negativity bias, a survival mechanism designed to spot threats faster than pleasures. This was useful when danger meant predators. But today, it means your mind notices criticism more than compliments, losses more than gains, and stress more than stability. If left untrained, your mental spotlight keeps illuminating what's wrong. But attention is trainable. When you deliberately notice small wins, a good meal, a solved problem, a kind message, you're not being naive. You're strengthening neural circuits associated with appreciation. Over time, your brain becomes faster at spotting positives because you've rehearsed the skill of seeing them. Gratitude practices work on this exact principle. Writing 3 things you're grateful for each day may seem simple, even trivial, but repetition is what rewires perception. The brain begins scanning your day for moments worth recording. You start living more consciously because you're mentally preparing to remember the good. Another powerful training lever is interpretation. Events don't create emotions as much as interpretations do. 2 people can face the same setback. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. One feels defeated, the other feels informed. The difference lies in cognitive framing. You can train this framing. When something goes wrong, asking, "What can this teach me?" activates problem-solving circuits instead of rumination loops. This doesn't eliminate disappointment. It redirects it toward growth. Over time, resilience strengthens because your brain learns that adversity isn't the end of the story. Then comes emotional regulation, the ability to experience feelings without being controlled by them. Many people assume emotions are commands. If you feel anxious, you must stop. If you feel unmotivated, you must delay. But trained minds treat emotions as signals, not instructions. Mindfulness meditation is one of the most researched tools for this. By observing thoughts without reacting, you create distance between stimulus and response. Brain imaging studies show reduced activity in the amygdala, the fear center, and increased activation in the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational control. In everyday language, you become less emotionally hijacked and more emotionally aware. Physical behavior also trains emotional states. The brain doesn't only listen to thoughts, it listens to posture, breathing, and movement. Exercise releases endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, neurochemicals linked to well-being. Even short walks can shift mood baselines because movement signals safety and vitality to the nervous system. Sleep is another foundational trainer. Chronic sleep deprivation amplifies negative emotional responses while reducing positive reactivity. In simple terms, tired brains feel gloomier. Protecting sleep isn't laziness, it's emotional maintenance. Social conditioning plays a role too. Humans are neurologically contagious. We mirror emotional tones around us. Spending time with chronically negative individuals trains your brain toward complaint and pessimism. Surrounding yourself with solution-oriented, growth-focused people nudges your emotional baseline upward. But perhaps the most overlooked happiness training tool is purpose. Pleasure creates spikes of happiness. Purpose creates stability. When your actions align with meaning, helping others, building something, solving problems, your brain releases fulfillment signals deeper than momentary excitement. Purpose also reframes struggle. Hard work feels draining when it's meaningless, but energizing when it's meaningful. The same effort produces different emotional outcomes depending on perceived significance. Habits are the delivery system for all this training. Occasional positive actions don't rewire brains. Repeated ones do. Just as brushing teeth prevents decay through consistency, daily mental hygiene prevents emotional erosion. This might look like morning reflection instead of phone scrolling, a gratitude note before sleep, a walk without digital distraction, checking thoughts when negativity spirals. These micro-behaviors compound neurologically. Importantly, training your brain for happiness doesn't mean suppressing sadness. Emotional suppression backfires, intensifying stress internally. Training means allowing emotions, but not becoming trapped in them. It's the difference between feeling sad and believing life is sad. Over time, trained brains develop what psychologists call emotional agility, the ability to move through emotional states without getting stuck. Joy lasts longer. Stress dissipates faster. Perspective returns sooner. And here's the profound part. Happiness training doesn't just change feelings. It changes perception of reality itself. The same life begins to feel lighter, not because events changed, but because interpretation did. You laugh more easily, you recover more quickly, you appreciate more deeply, you fear less intensely, not because problems disappeared, but because your mental immune system strengthened. Neuroscience suggests it takes consistent practice, often weeks or months, to noticeably shift emotional baselines. But once rewired, these patterns become semi-automatic. Happiness stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like default. Think of it like learning language. At first, it's deliberate and slow. Eventually, it's fluent and unconscious. Emotional conditioning works the same way. So, Can you train your brain to be happier? Yes, but not through wishful thinking, motivational quotes, or forced positivity. It happens through repeated mental behaviors, attention training, gratitude, reframing, mindfulness, movement, sleep, environment design, and purpose alignment. Happiness, then, isn't a destination you reach. It's a neurological environment you cultivate. And the most empowering realization is this: if your brain can be trained towards stress, it can be trained toward joy. If it learned worry through repetition, it can learn peace the same way. The question is no longer whether happiness is possible for you, but whether you're willing to practice it daily. Because the brain you live with tomorrow is being trained by the thoughts you rehearse today. So start small. Notice one good thing. Reframe one setback. Take one mindful breath. Move your body once more than yesterday. Protect 1 hour of sleep. Send one message of appreciation. Tiny neural votes cast daily. Over time, they elect a happier mind. And if this idea resonated with you, just don't let it remain inspiration. Turn it into implementation. Begin your brain training rituals today. Share this message with someone who needs emotional hope, and commit to becoming not someone who waits for happiness, but someone who builds it from within. Because a trained mind doesn't just experience life differently, it transforms life itself.